My name's DeWalt. I'm a teacher, and I teach biology.
Okay. How long have you been teaching biology?
13 years. I started in 2003.
Okay. How do you happen to come back to Bonita?
Man, that's a long story. I was in the weight room at the 24 Hours on H Street, and I saw one of my former coaches, and he asked me if I wanted to help out with the football team. So then, coincidentally, at the same time, they had an opening for a biology teacher here. And so as I came to help out for coaching, they're like, hey, you want a job? I was like, yeah. That's how I got here.
Over the years, have you seen like the student population grow or evolve in some way?
Yeah. I think when I went here, it was definitely less diverse. I think it was like 50%, and this is an estimate, but I want to say like 50% white students are Caucasian, and then like maybe 40% like Hispanic, and then like maybe 5% Filipino, and then maybe 2% African American, and then there were some others kind of sprinkled in there. And I think it's much more diverse now, across the board, like just everything. It's much more diverse.
Okay. How have you transformed as a teacher as you been adapting to these changes?
I think, well, when I first got here, it was kind of just survival. So as a new teacher, you're like, man, I just want to get through. But now I'm trying to make my class more interesting. So I try to do more labs and make it more hands-on. And also, I just want my curriculum to kind of be suitable for everybody, and whatever that means. So I just want to make it accessible to everybody, regardless of your background or whether you're IB or whether you're just trying to graduate. I'm just trying to make it like fun and educational and relevant.
Okay. And has the curriculum within your subject changed a lot since you first started here?
Yeah, absolutely. When I first started, I think it was a lot of stuff that you would just get out of the book, and that serves its purpose. But now with the Common Core and the NGSS, it's supposed to be a little bit more relevant. So I'm trying to teach things that are applicable in life in general.
And can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so like tomorrow, for example, we're making a water filter for our fish tanks because the fish tanks are dirty and they're not supposed to be using any electronical devices like a filter or an aerator.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, we got to filter the water, but we can't use electricity, so let's make our own water filters. So they're going to bring in stuff, and then they're going to pour their dirty fish water into that filter and hopefully get some clean stuff out.
My name is Shannon Bruce, and I work at Bonita Vista High School. I'm a teacher there.
Okay. And what do you teach?
I teach health, currently teach health.
Okay. And what grade levels do you teach usually?
11 and 12.
Okay. Awesome. So Ms. Bruce, can you tell me how long you've been teaching here at Bonita Vista High School?
I arrived at Bonita High in 2006. Yeah, so 16 years. Oh no, 10 years. 10 years.
Is there a particular class or pair of students or student who has called out to you the most?
I really like last year's group, the seniors, and I like this year's group for different reasons. Every year has a vibe about them that's special, and that's very memorable. And do I have any students? I do have students that do define the years for me, not because they're technically a favorite or what have you, but they define a year just because of maybe their individuality or because of their just little things that they've done. Like I've had students get up and sing every day, and so they kind of define that year. Oh, that was the year when I had like I had a student who would play the ukulele all the time, right? So Jens would just come up here and he would start singing and he'd make everyone happy. So he defined that year, and I don't know.
Just little things like that.
Just little things like that. So I do have students that have defined the years. I wouldn't say I have a favorite because I really we're all you're all so amazing.
My name is Candice DeVore, otherwise known as Ms. DeVore.
Okay. And what do you teach here at Benitez High School?
At Benita, I teach U.S. history and most of the time AP U.S. history.
Okay. And how long have you been teaching here at Benita?
I've been teaching at Benita since 2004.
Okay. And what about just teaching in general?
I've been teaching as long as I've been at Benita, since 2004.
Oh, so you started here?
I started here. This
Oh,
is my first and only teaching job.
Are there any changes that you'd like to see in Benita? Because I know throughout those years, Benita would have changed to some extent.
Yeah, it has changed. I don't know that I would say that I would want to change it back to anything, though. You know, my memory, as I get older, it gets more nostalgic, so that's always a danger. I can't say that the things that happened then were better or worse than the things that are happening now. I think the only difference is the way students relate to each other has changed simply because of the technology has evolved. When I was a student, no one was really texting anybody. You might have had a phone, but you weren't texting anybody because not everyone had one. So those little things, I think, change the way students now connect with each other, and it can be obviously used for bad. You know, back in the day, so to speak, we would pass notes. So what's cool about it is I have binders full of notes from friends that I read back on now, and they're like little moments in time. Whereas with text messages, I mean, it's a lot harder to do that, and it's out of context a lot, because if you forget what you guys were talking about when you're reading your text sometimes. So that's the only thing I would say is the interactions can be a little bit more superficial because you don't need to talk to someone face to face. But I can't say that it wasn't like that back then either. You know, it's just a lot easier to do it now, I think. But I think overall, I think Benita's always been relatively diverse, and I think it's continuing to be more diverse in experience, and you know, and the culture is represented here. So I think that's always a positive.
And how was Benita back when you were a student here?
I think I have a skewed perspective because I enjoyed Benita a lot, and I had a great time in high school. And I was a typical AP student, if there's such a thing, you know, school focused, very involved in extracurriculars and in sports. So for me, high school was a huge, you know, every year was better. Took my AP classes, was an ASB, was a yearbook editor, was captain of the track and cross country teams. So I felt like I lived a really positive high school experience overall. I had a boyfriend, and I had friends. You know, it's just like I felt like I had good balance between social and academic, with probably more emphasis on the academic than not, but yeah. So for me, Benita was probably what most parents want their kids' experience to be in high school, is like involved and school-centered, so I don't know.
Okay, well, that basically sums up the interview, but thank you very much.
You're welcome.